I managed to get on the boat, and then I cut into 3 pieces, and then in 3 equal lengths out of 20 feet, and I will strap them together, put some legs on it, and we're going to make a real wicked old table out of it for this room. Because it's not properly set up in here yet. I've got a small desk, it's cluttered up, that I grabbed the other day, and but I'll finally make a real cool table to have in here. It'll be real handy too, especially have some people come in here, right? So that's another project to do. Shouldn't take too long. It's just trying to decide whether or not to sand the top or to leave it all weathered up like the ocean and sun did to it. Anyway, Nino was getting a hold of me. We were texting when I was fishing. He's really eager to get some more good discussions going on about the truth and reality in the planet today. And I'm all over it. So we're going to do that right away. He was buggy. He's going, let's do it today. I'm like, dude, I'm on the boat, man. I just can't do this. Quickly glanced at my inbox last night when I sat down for the first time at 8 o'clock at night from 4 in the morning yesterday. And then my inbox is just jammed with emails. Jammed. It's exciting though, because I love, believe it or not, it's like gold to me. It's knowledge. And each one is just a new package of knowledge. I don't know what we're going to get. You know what I mean? But it just keeps flooding in. So I'll have to go over those as well. I got so much to do. I'm not even awake yet, obviously. But anyways, let's get back to the routine here. Let's get some voices heard. Here we go. You know, there's one thing that you guys don't see. Excuse me, oh, stupid chair only rolls here and there. One thing is you guys don't see when I pre-record like this is the amount of emails that I'll read and I'll read and I'll read and I'll read and then I'll realize, oh shit, I shouldn't even have read this frickin' email. Doesn't happen that often, but I just got bombed 3 times in a row. Whew. So you don't realize it. I haven't even started yet. But I've been at it now for at least 20-25 minutes and I haven't got anywhere. So, crossing our fingers. What's this one? Ex-combat vet is the title of this email. Hey Steve, I'm an ex-combat vet, served 5 years in Iraq and Afghanistan, been wounded twice. I was in almost 14 years. When I came home back in 2011, I was stationed at Fort Leavenworth one night. In January 2012, I was on guard detail at a medium-sized perimeter station. Very little punctuation. Concrete walls 2 feet thick and a solid steel blast door. A foot thick, just about a half a mile from the Missouri River. My comrades stepped out to smoke. We've read this one, but I'm going to read it again anyways because I know it's coming. My comrades stepped out to smoke. This was around midnight and in a snowstorm. He started banging on the door within a minute of being outside. I opened the door and like, what the F? You just went out there. He's like, there's something out here, and it's not a man, and it's not any animal he's ever heard. It's screaming at him, but he couldn't see it. So I stepped out with him. We could hear something big, very big, just inside the woods, about 100 feet away. Then we heard a scream, a roar, what the F ever. We both went back inside, locked the door. Within minutes, this thing started banging on the door with such force, took me back to combat readiness in a flash. We looked at each other and the monitors in the station, and we could see the top of its head. Long story short, we finally opened the door after it took off and found dents in the door. Solid metal, mind you. Yeah, it still freaks me out. And the footprints in the snow, 21 inches long, that led over the perimeter fence, which is 15 feet high with razor wire, and the prints were headed towards the river. I'm a very rational person. I don't take shit. I keep to myself and had to share this. Never told anyone except my comrade who was on duty with me that night. It changed both of us to this day. Thanks for all you do, brother. Keep posting this stuff. We need to know what the F we're dealing with. You can use my first name, Michael. Thanks again for a release with no shame. That night will always be with me, just like being wounded has, Michael. Okay, man. I read this quite some time ago. I wonder if you have any more knowledge you've gained because of your curiosity. That's obviously going to be huge, no matter what. And if you're still hanging out here watching this channel, maybe email me back with whatever else you may have learned, or someone else at work you may have talked to, had a similar experience or whatever. That'd be good. And you're not the first one to email in about these beings making it past the safety perimeters and looking, being right in front of the camera. It's happened so many times, it's ridiculous. This next one's titled Fort Lewis, Washington. Hope I haven't read this. Hey man, what's up? Hope all is well. I just stumbled onto your channel. Just saw one of your videos about armed forces guys. I haven't seen Sasquatches, but I thought I'd tell you my story. Back in '87, while being stationed at Fort Lewis, Washington, we went out into the mountains for some training. I can't be sure, but I think it was near the Trout Lake area of Gifford Pinchot National Park. It was miles from electricity, I can tell you that. As an ex-hunter and an infantry soldier, I spent plenty of times in the woods. Well, back in '87, probably around October, November, it was cold and very wet. So dark you couldn't see your hand in front of your face at night. We traveled lightly for this training exercise, only about 2 companies. Only a few Humvees or trucks. We got there actually by bus. It was my night for radio watch. It was a 3-hour watch. My job was to start the Humvee about every hour to keep the batteries charged and call in a radio check. Keep the batteries charged? I wonder why they would be draining. I was freezing and bored, so I cranked the Humvee and turned on the heater. I thought I would listen to some tunes on my Walkman. Walkman? Where are we now? Early 90s? I guess I probably read that part. I heard something I've never heard in my life. But for the moment, I just kind of blew it off like, that was unusual. Then at exactly 03:05 in the AM, I heard the loudest unearthly commotion I've ever heard. It sounded like it was about 250 yards away. I heard it over my Walkman. It was so loud. I could even tell you the song that was playing at the moment, and it was, yes, Owner of a Lonely Heart. I kicked open the door of the Humvee, ripped off my headphones, and listened for about 2 minutes to what could only be described as demonic. A cross between coyotes, hyenas, a jet engine noise, and ghosts. It was so loud that you could feel the concussion in your chest. Said everybody. Every hair on my body stood on end, and all I could think of was, what in the hell was that? It was terrifying. Ironically, none of my platoon members heard it. They're all in sleeping bags with ponchos over the top of them. It sounded like more than one creature. More like a group, and almost like a ceremonial. Ceremonial? Or maybe like almost just like a ceremony. Just wailing and screaming. You could tell it was a conversation of some sort. It stopped when I went back to the truck and did my radio check. I woke up my relief and asked him if he heard all the weird noises that night, and he didn't. I started asking around when my platoon buddies were convinced I was nuts and started making jokes about ancient Indian burial grounds. Excuse me. Then about a day or 2 later, I had the same watch and was waking up my relief at about 0600 and heard them again. Still sounding like a group, but further away from the opposite direction this time. I said to my buddy, "Hey man, did you hear that shit?" He calmly said, "Yeah, man." I said, "What did that sound like to you?" He says, "Ghosts." My hair still stands on end thinking about that. At the time, I didn't know what I'd heard was Sasquatch. Or maybe it wasn't, who knows, right? I just know that it scared the hell out of me and almost shit my pants. It wasn't until years later when I heard some recorded Sasquatch screams by supposed experts in the Northwest that I finally put 2 and 2 together. When I heard the recordings, that fear instantly grabbed me again. I've contacted Fort Lewis Records archives to see if they have any record of exactly where we were then, so I could get a grid coordinate and go back sometime, but no luck. And I realized what I heard was Sasquatch, and more than one. I've been called every name in the book, but nothing can change my mind. Although terrifying, I still feel blessed to have been able to hear them. Something I can't emphasize enough is just the sheer extreme volume of how loud these things were. I only tell a select few people about it. I told my daughters, and they're believers now. I shared this story with that website, and we did get a phone interview. I'd kill to be able to find out exactly where we were that night. Sorry so long-winded. Peace, JW. You may share this if you like. Shared. There you go. One thing people seem to be able to get across to everybody here is the description of the sounds and the impact on them. It's something else, right? It's just got to. I haven't heard that sound. I've heard sounds, but not that one. I haven't heard anything that'll rattle my ribs. And that has got to be such an impact, obviously, right? From what we hear from these dozens of people hearing it. Crazy. Alright, what's this one? Thanks for sending that in, man. Appreciate it. Mark this as red. Alright. Northern New York. Here's a report from the Adirondack Mountains of northern New York State, USA. I've been an outdoorsman, hunting, fishing, camping, and hiking since the early 70s, and have seen every type of game known in the state. It occurred on a sunny June 17, 2015 day around mid-afternoon while we were boating along the eastern shore of Lake George, New York. I've been to Lake George. Just above the Narrows. We were about 140 yards away from the shore when the sighting occurred. The shoreline of this section of the lake is state property, and the part of the Forever Wild section of the Adirondacks. There are many square miles of wilderness here, and this location is only about 8 miles from the locally famous Whitehall, New York sightings in 1976. We were motoring in our 19-foot inboard-outboard boat northeast in a narrow channel between some islands and the mainland. Our intended goal was a small single-site camping island a short distance away. We were traveling about 5 miles per hour, slightly above idling speed. Engine RPM would be approximately 1,000. As we cleared the channel, there's a bay on our starboard right side. Since I'm always scanning the water to the side looking for boat traffic, I was looking east into the bay, and I noticed movement close to the shoreline. It seemed that whatever it was, we caught it by surprise as we cleared a point of land. I then got my wife's attention. She looked in that direction and also saw it. My view was of a very large, glossy black animate being that was squatted down by the water and seemed to quickly raise an arm from its side to a horizontal position, rose up, then turned away and moved back and to the side and behind a nearby clump of coniferous trees. I couldn't believe how fast it moved. I then spun the boat around for a better view. Meanwhile, my wife was watching it. Her impression was that it was large, dark, and upright, and didn't move like an animal. Her view was slightly restricted by the trees that it was hiding behind, but she did notice that the being was swaying from side to side. That'll be the goats out there. The only known animal that is large and black out here in the Adirondacks is a black bear. Excuse me, and we both strongly know it wasn't a bear. It has shoulders, bears don't. It was an observation of very short duration, but long enough to impress us. Unfortunately, we can't provide any accurate dimensions or descriptions of any physical details, but even though we're not sure of what it was, we're sure of what it was not. We're used to seeing people on the shore, and this being was far larger than any human. We had cameras and binoculars aboard, but we're trying to process what we saw and never thought to grab either of them. It happens that fast. We then continued on to the island, which is about 200 yards from the sighting and only about 20 feet from the mainland, and chatted for a bit about what we just saw. Eventually, we got the charcoal grill fired up and proceeded to cook a meal. We do this on a regular basis on the islands of the lake. As we're eating, and all of a sudden, I had a strong feeling to leave now. I shared that with my wife, and we quickly finished our meal, loaded the gear back on the boat and left. Or as some may say, got the hell out of Dodge. I was not afraid, mind you, but something strongly came over me, and I knew we had to get out of there now. I've never had that type of experience on the lake or anywhere else before, and I'm not sure if the two events are related, but I suspect they are. Something wanted us to go away, and go away now. Since then, I've had a heightened awareness of their presence in the woods and have found dozens of tree breaks and have recorded howls, wood knocks, and their almost accurate barred owl calls. On one occasion, while we were hiking in the fall, we noted a tree break at our destination and made a big deal about it. You can only imagine to our surprise as we returned down the same trail that something had bent and splintered a 4-inch living hardwood right over the trail like an arc. It was not that way on our way up. We did not feel afraid, but something was clearly communicating to us that it was the baddest thing around. We both have had over 40 years of outdoors experience and are very familiar with the Adirondack wildlife. My wife is a retired science teacher and I'm a retired medical device manufacturing engineer. And oh yeah, I don't give a damn if some folks don't believe this. We know what we saw. We both spend a lot of time outdoors and will not be second guessed by some armchair academics. Regards, Bob Benway. Bob, appreciate you, man. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. Now, you know, a lot of people, so many people share with us about getting that feeling. It's either feeling, and some people share getting a voice telling me, get out of here now, just leave now. Urgent and terrifying somewhat, right? Now what I'm wondering is, if somebody had a great big set of cojones on them, I wonder what happens to anybody who does not react to leave to that warning. Because we're not hearing about, well, you know, Dave's reporting a lot of people going missing. There's a horse standing right there looking at me in the window, wondering what I'm doing. Anyway, but, you know, like, your average person, how do I describe this? People that, okay, bullies. Bullies are scared people, right? Bullies are scared. They try to do to people what they don't want done to them. They're scared. All bullies are just scared. Now, and bullies try to intimidate all the time, right? But usually when you call out a bully, they get scared and run. Now, I'm wondering, maybe, if possibly, if you do not listen to that warning that's being shot across, I wonder what's going to happen next. You know, are you curious about what would happen if you didn't leave? You know, get out of here now. No, I'm not going. Now what do you want to do? You know what I mean? I wonder what would happen. I don't know. Would I be able to do it? I don't know. I seem to run every time these things let me know they're right near me. I'm not into it, right? I love my outdoor world too much. And the amount of people, I guess the shit that I've seen and been through already, I guess maybe I am safe from having it all ruined or taken away from me. I don't know. Am I? I don't have a clue. I don't know. I just don't need this shit. I don't need to be tormented, terrorized, and chased. I just don't need it. So I seem to be one of the ones that leaves. So far. But coming up, you know, on that note, coming up though, where I will be going in the next couple months, I won't have the choice to leave. Because I'll be getting dropped off in the middle of frickin' nowhere. You just can't leave. So if it happens then, it'll be interesting, right? If it happens then I guess I will be able to report what happens when you don't leave. Maybe. Unless I disappear. Oh, coincidental. Here's the next one. Mind speaking. I'm a medically retired former infantry scout, sniper / forward observer. The following accounts are short to the point. Perfect. First, I was riding my bike with my son along a popular trail. It was August 9th or 8th, mid-2000s. We were riding along when my son noticed some tracks. Human, but big. We stopped and as I was looking at the trail it made through the tall grass, coming across the RR tracks, and then across a paved path onto a trail that intersected a paved road. The tracks, as I later confirmed with a dick from the so-called website, were 22 inches long and 14 inches at the ball and 5 to 6 inches at the heel. Whoa. I used a Propel 1 liter bottle for size comparison at a known distance 3 feet from the track. Held my BlackBerry Pearl phone and snapped pictures. I filed a report and submitted my disc with the pictures to these guys. You did not. Oh no. Alright, he says a bunch of expletives to describe those guys with that website. They claim they lost my disc with the pictures. They also never posted my report. Anyway, this really intrigued me and I started on my quest to get information and keep to myself. Alright, sounds a little awkward and I got another horse interrupting me here. So basically what he's saying is he contacted the BF place and another person got shafted yet again. He sent them the disc from his phone with the photos and they claimed it disappeared. And never laid down his report. Why not? Is the track a little too big for you guys? Something you don't want the public to hear about? Anyway, enough of that. Let's carry on with his email. Second, I live in the Pacific Northwest and spend a lot of time in the woods. When people get to me... Okay. I spend a lot of time in the woods when people get to me. Alone and carry a .45 and a .30-06. I don't want to give too many details as DNR and those Fs will be all over. So I find an area close to where I live, which is basically in the woods in a subdevelopment with everyone having at least an acre, and it's heavy wooded. I was out in a training area of local military base and was just chilling when I was done. I got up off the tailgate of my truck when I saw it step between two big ass fir trees. It was tall, about 9 feet, and it was the color of old cedar bark. Had a domed head, light-colored ears and face. It just looked in my direction and stepped off. It never made a sound. I didn't feel scared, just in awe. And I was like, holy F, that was a Bigfoot. Third, I have an area that I like to ride quads in and around. I was up on the MT exploring an area that I discovered was in the edge of someone's territory. I have a lot of pictures of tree breaks, trees set in between other trees that are not natural. Anyway, I was coming down a graded road as local logging had come into the area, and as I got out of my truck, I could smell that sweet, sick, dead-ass animal smell. The wind was from the east, and I could smell the thing as it came through the area. I know it was there, and it knew I was there. It must have walked along the tree line as the smell came in strong and then faded, and again I had no fear. Fourth, I shoot a lot. Keeping up the skill set and staying sharp, like the spirit point. I went to the same area I ride in. I found my usual spot, and when I was setting up my silhouette, I heard in my head, clear as day, "Please don't shoot me." I was shocked, and for the first time, fear gripped me. I was like, what the F? Who is here with me? I looked around a 360, and all I could see was hilltops and trees. My hand instinct was to rotate the fire selection from safe to fire on my custom AR. It was automatic from years of training, and my right hand gripped my handguard tightly. I raised the rifle and looked through my scope along the tree line. Nothing. It really freaked me out, hearing voices in my head. That's the first and last time I heard the voice. Needless to say, I respect and believe in these sentient beings. As a matter of fact, I don't go shooting that area anymore, as a matter of respect. I keep up the exploring of the area and I find broken trees here and there, but I just keep to myself. And walk the trails, relaxing and keeping my senses honed. Keep up the great work and pissing off. Keep up the great work and pissing the BLM and DNR Fs off. MS, US retired. Have a great day. Okay, man, it's unfortunate about the first incident with you sending off your disc to that group of dirtbags, right? And I know all the people associated with those people aren't dirtbags. I know, I get it, and I've had a lot of them email us to explain why they maintain their connection with them is because of all the data they get to have access to. That's the only reason. Well, for all you people now, if you haven't noticed, it's all from the people. The data's from the people. Now the people are here speaking freely and openly, word for word. So it's all here now. All right? You don't have to associate with dirt bags anymore, unless you like to. Bite my lip. Who's next? The voice is in the head, right? I can't imagine what that would be like. I mean, you know, I've spent so much time in the middle of nowhere, and if I heard a crystal clear voice in my head, it would scare the shit out of me, I'm guessing. It would be so bizarre. I can't even imagine it. I can't even try to picture it right now, hearing another voice in my head. Picture it. It's like, how do you even try to picture that? You just can't. There's another one titled A Huge Head Watching Me. Hello, Steve. I respect what you do and having the courage to speak out about something no one wants to touch out of fear. You can call me John since I still have my job, which I'm very grateful in these times. I don't want this encounter to affect it. I tried to reach you in the past, but figured you either didn't believe, didn't care, or simply didn't see my message in the sea of messages you probably have gotten. I'm trying to reach you again after I finally had my first sighting the other day. So I've had multiple encounters leading up to the one I just had the other day while fishing on the Spokane River somewhere in Washington. I didn't want to say exact location for reasons of staying anonymous. Prior to the encounter the other day when I finally saw something, I'd always had strange encounters happen while fishing alone in the Northwest and Alaska. I've seen big rocks get thrown into the river from tree line. Had a log thrown at me from behind while fishing Alaska. Turned around only to see thick brush leading up the mountain. Whatever it was didn't seem to like it was meaning to. Whatever it was didn't seem like it was meaning to hit me, but it was trying to get my attention. This has been going on for a while now, and I always try to ignore whatever it is because it was unknown to me. And by the way, I am Native American and black. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I thought I might add that detail. Fast forward to Sunday, May 31st, 2020. I was fishing Spokane River to get away from all the mess going on in the world. As I was fishing, once I saw a rock come flying out of the tree line. I didn't think nothing about it because it has happened many times before. I've been watching your channel, so I kept an eye on the tree line across the river. Being in the woods as much as I do, have developed that sixth sense so I can sense when there's something or someone watching. And I felt it from across the river. And all of a sudden my eyes zeroed in on what appeared to be a pile of fallen trees. From behind one of the logs I saw a huge black head watching me. I couldn't believe. I thought surely I'm only seeing that because I know about Sasquatch. I decided to watch this black head to make sure it's a few typos. I'm trying to do it smooth. Sorry. I decided to watch this black head to make sure it's not just a log or something. I turned my attention away for a few seconds and the black head was gone. Another thing to note, I usually film and take pictures while I'm fishing, but at the time this occurred, all of my equipment was dead. It was almost like whatever was watching me knew my electronics were all dead / off. Another side note is when I usually have similar encounters, there's usually barrier like fast moving water between me and whatever these things are, so that I can't get over there to go investigate and look for tracks. Anyways, I hope you get this message, and this wasn't a waste of time writing you my encounter. Once again, thank you. It's never a waste of time, man, and I got it. And the only reason if I didn't get your stuff before is because there's 10 gazillion billion other emails it's lost in 100% for sure. Another note too is as far as our racial background, color of our skin, doesn't matter. These beings don't give a shit what color we are, where we're from. They don't care. It doesn't make a difference. Sure, there's a lot of native communities that have had a lot of experiences and seem to be really condensed around there. Or is it just because our native communities are more in tune with their intuition, sixth sense? Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? But either way, there is 100% for sure. Rural native communities have a lot of activity around them, without a doubt. But if you go over all the encounters, all the experiences shared here, they're all the same. Everyone gets the same treatment and the same reaction. They don't give a shit what color your hair is, what color your skin is. They don't care. We get the same attention. It's the same shit. So there you go. Anyway. So many people to be heard. I think I'm slowly starting to wake up. My mind's a little occupied off to the side a bit, because I got a lot to do. I have forgot to do a whole pile of canning of salmon today. I think Sarah's gonna help me a bit. She's really busy. She's got to fly out of here tomorrow to go see family. And I'm left with the ranch, so I'm gonna be getting a lot of this done, and I'm gonna get a lot of talking to Nino and whoever else done. Now, appreciate you sending that in, man. I appreciate you sending that in. Excuse me. And welcome to the club. Alright, who's next? I told them I saw Bigfoot is the title of this email. Hey Steve, I really appreciate the work you're doing, providing a place for people to share their stories without the fear of judgment. If you decide to share this, I would appreciate you not mentioning any names or locations. Don't write them in. This instance happened in either the late 60s or the early 70s. I would have been 7 or 10 years old when it happened. It was before we had cable, and the TV stations all turned off at midnight. My family had traveled to spend a weekend with some extended family. On this particular night, everyone but my cousin and I had gone to bed. We watched TV until it turned off. My cousin had fallen asleep on the couch, and I was sitting in a recliner. I'd turned the recliner around so I could look out the sliding glass doors. There was a big porch on the back side of the house, and beyond that was a fishing pond. I could sit in the recliner, look out over the pond, and watch the stars. I placed the recliner about 2 feet from the door so I could see better. Eventually I fell asleep in the recliner. Sometime later, I don't really remember what time it was, I heard a sound that woke me up. When I woke up, there was a Bigfoot looking through the door at me. As I can recall, he was only about 6 feet tall. When I realized what was looking through the door at me, I screamed really loud and pushed backwards so hard the recliner flipped over. No doubt. Within just a few seconds, everyone in the house was in the living room asking me what happened. When I told them I saw a Bigfoot, they all started telling me what they thought I saw. They said I'd seen something but just misidentified it. To be fair to them, they were woken up in the middle of the night and could probably only rationalize it as something they knew. I've hunted and fished my entire life, but there have been times when I get spooked going out in the dark. There have even been some places that I wouldn't go in until there was enough light to be able to see. I apologize for this message being a little lengthy, but I applaud you for taking the time to do what you do. Take care and God bless, Jay. Okay, Jay, take care and God bless you too, man. Welcome to the club. And there's another example of the confidence, right? We're talking earlier, remember I mentioned earlier about how these beings, some people think they're terrified and scared of us. No, they're not. No, they're not. Just like I said before, let's picture if there's a bunch of 10-foot, 8-foot tall, hairy, built like brick shed house beings inside their little dwelling, you aren't going to go up and pop your head in the door and look at them. No, you're not. You're not going to go up and peek your face right in the window and stare at them either, right? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Because all those beings, hairy, let's just say turn it around, all those hairy beings, they saw you in the window, they're going to come out and grab your ass in seconds, right? How do these beings know we're not going to do that to them? How do they know we're not going to come rushing out of the house and tackle them and grab onto them when they look in the door or the window? There's confidence there, right? That's a lot of confidence. A ton of confidence. Who's next? One more and I gotta go out. Get some stuff done. Get a lot of stuff done. Unmistakable. It was on two legs. Hello. I just want to share a story both my dad and mom experienced shortly after they got married in '66. My dad grew up in Oklahoma and had moved away after returning from serving his time in the military. He met the woman who he would later marry and would become my mom. And we read it. I don't know why it is marked as red. Alright, what's this one? Alright, let's read this one. I don't know what this one's about. I don't know. It's driving me nuts. This skipping, that phone getting wiped earlier is really pissing me off. It's titled Ontario Trucker. Might have read this. Hey Steve, I mentioned this encounter in a few comment sections of other videos, but I guess this is to make it official. I'm a long-haul trucker running from Ontario to Western Canada and returning usually through the US back to Ontario. One night I slept in the Sault Ste. Marie. Got up, started my day. I got up to Montreal River, approximately 1 hour north, and was driving by Beta Lake. B-E-T-A Lake. This lake is shaped like an oven mitt, and at the tip of the thumb there is an opening. I see this guy standing there facing me. My first thought was, a camper. I smiled, then I realized he was all black. Black bear black. Head, face, arms, legs, everything. My next thought was, why is he all black? Is this a bear? Why is it standing? But it's a human silhouette. A black bear standing would have an inseam maybe 18 inches max. This lasted approximately 6 seconds, but has stuck with me ever since. I didn't realize it may have been a Bigfoot because I always thought of it as a West Coast thing. Then I heard of a sighting in Grassy Narrows, Ontario, west of Manitoba. I'm thinking, how could such a thing survive there? I started looking into it. I reported to another site in Ontario, and the guy pegged my sighting on a map, and about 5 to 10 miles north of there was 3 other sightings pegged. He was supposed to send me the details, but never did. I served 21 years in the military, and have absolutely no time for BS. This email is to further confirm that these beings exist. They're everywhere. I have 50 acres, and I go down into the back with my 12-gauge slug, triple-odd buck slug, triple-odd buck slug, plus more in my pocket. Even doing yard work, splitting wood, etc. I have bear spray and usually my 12-gauge. Everything is a statistic. You can choose which column you fall in. Cheers, guy. Doug Turner. Okay, Doug, thanks for that, man. Yeah, that sounded a little familiar, but when I have been in the woods, if I just need protection, I'm in grizzly country guiding, or usually my saddle gun most of the time was a sawed-off 12-gauge pump, and same thing. You put slug buckshot in it all the way up. Take the plug out so you can put as many rounds in there as you can. And the reason being you do that is so that you don't have to aim as much in an emergency, right? Very effective self-defense weapon. And there you go. Yes, they are real, and yes, they are potentially everywhere. And this is a book. Excuse me, here we go. Okay, here we go. Southwest Texas. Here's one for Nino. Hello, Steve. Thank you for all the work you do. I wrote to you once before about the difference in people's reactions and sent a picture I took of a possible Sasquatch trackway in Colorado, and was rather shocked when a few weeks later you read my email and showed my picture on YouTube. The experience was in December of 2019. I've been watching your channel since. You made me aware that I may have had more close encounters than I realized. I've lived in southeast Texas all of my life. 66 years. I've spent a lot of time in the woods. My father was very much into hunting and fishing and was always taking me along. I fired a rifle for the first time when I was 5 and killed my first deer when I was 6. I lost my interest in hunting and fishing in my late teens and have always loved the forest. My father had an 800+ acre ranch, so I always had access to the outdoors and spent a lot of time hiking there. I also have hiked the Sam Houston National Forest many times, And I've been going to Colorado every few years throughout my life and have hiked endless miles there. Many times I've experienced the forest going absolutely quiet, mainly on my hikes through the SHNF and sometimes in Colorado. You recently relayed an experience of a man fishing on Lake Conroe, which borders the south side of the SHNF. Seeing one of these things run past him, which made me start thinking about these episodes of silence I've experienced there many times. I've never encountered foul smells, at least those that can't be attributed to a carcass, nor have I ever heard of any unusual calls. Also, I've never had the electric hair standing on end you talk about. I've had some odd experiences back in the woods on my dad's ranch. I had an experience last spring in Colorado related to what you talk about with the sixth sense. I was hiking the Colorado Trail on Mount Antero and kept getting the feeling that something was on my left, and as I walked, the feeling got stronger. I kept looking mainly to my left and also all around and finally spotted some eyes looking at me between the branches of a pine tree. To my relief, it was a couple of deer, as I'd been watching your channel for a few months at this time and was starting to freak myself out. I've retired after 30 years as an electrical contractor and am currently building a house in Colorado and will be moving there in the late spring. I've never lived in a cold climate, only visited. And watching you has given me an insight into dealing with the cold, taking note of what you're wearing and your foot gear. I'm planning on doing a lot of hiking once I get established there, and I think, and emphasize think, that I have an idea of what to do if I encounter one of these things. Of course, I realize all of that thinking will probably quickly go to shit if I'm suddenly faced with a 10-foot hairy monster. Yeah, right? I tend to start every hike with the mindset that this is your home, and I'm only visiting to enjoy the beauty of it. I know there is far more out there than we can begin to imagine. I lived in a house for 36 years with 3 entities that some would call ghosts, but I never felt threatened, so I just lived with them. At times it seems that unseen entities are drawn to me for whatever reason, as I have experienced some strange things on my travels. I once saw a UFO from my backyard, a V-shaped craft with no lights or visible means of propulsion moving about 30 miles per hour at about 2,000 feet. It seems that I've found sasquatch tracks too. So I guess I've experienced most of the popular oddities of today. I haven't run across anything like a dog man, and I don't really want to. Thanks again, Steve, for all you do. Michael Young, currently in Bryan, Texas. Okay, man. Welcome to the club. I wonder if your father knows about what's going on when he's got all those acres, right? I want to talk to him straight up and see what's up. I would. And visiting their home. I got a tough time with that myself. Teach their own. My attitude is, the land we're all on. We all are given this lifetime. We're all going to die. We don't really, truly own anything. Right? If you did actually truly own something, then you're going to take it with you at the end, right? We're just here. We're renters in a way. But anyway, either way, what I'm getting at is we're all here together. We're all here together. We're sharing it. We're sharing it. I don't go into the woods with the attitude, well, I'm trespassing in your land. I hope you don't get too angry about it. No. My attitude for me, maybe I'm wrong. I always say maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, I might be wrong. But right now, my brain tells me, no, I'm going to that timber on that mountain. And I know you're here and you know I'm here. Let's just not ruin it for each other. And I have equal right to go and seek out and collect my food, my nourishment that I need for this lifetime, just like you do. You don't own it, I don't own it, but it's all here for all of us together to share. That's my attitude. I don't ask for permission to do shit in the forests or on the mountains. I don't. No way. I'm tired of the people. For some reason, the divide is absolutely unacceptable. Some humans are allowed to do this. Some humans aren't allowed to do that because of the color of your skin or your hair or where you were born. No. Sorry. That's not the way it's supposed to be. We are all here together. We should be helping each other have the most fun time ever while we are here. That's what it should be. But it's not. Anyways, I'm starting around, but the coffee must be kicking in. But no, I do not support the divide. I do not support the unequal opportunities that various human beings have while they're here. I do not support that in any way. Oh, I'm not ranting at the emailer either. It's just when I hear people saying, doesn't matter who it is, when I hear people saying, you know, you're trespassing on their land. No, I'm not. No, we're not. I've got the right to go walking in that beautiful... I have the right to walk on the face of this beautiful place we're living. Just like anybody else does. End o' story. Sorry, it's just the way it is. And I will help anybody at any time. It doesn't matter where their blood originally came from. You're just an equal human being just like me. We're here together and I will help you and support you. It's too easy, right? I'm rambling and babbling. I'm almost awake and my mind's racing. I got so much to do and I really, really, really want to dive right back into this and get this ripping and get all this room set up and get all my live streams set up a lot smoother than the first time and figure this out because I'm excited to do it and I'm excited to share knowledge with more people. So I got to get going on that note and I'll be back shortly.